Well, hello everyone, and welcome to your NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday, the 4th of March 2024. It's Gary here again. Where to start? What a topsy-turvy week we endured that was, I don't know, it was kind of pretty much all over the place, wasn't it? I think I think we got a lesson in 7 days on what we're kind of facing with this current squad. We know we have absolute brilliance in us. We know that, we've seen that, and we also know that we've got absolute garbage in us at the same time, and that's a bit of a worry, especially if the garbage rears its head a wee bit more than the brilliance does. And I just wonder what one of these is going to be more prevalent in the running. You remember I had said, I think it was last week or the week before, like if we win against Hearts and Kilmarnock, then we can really dare to dream about this title race. And we got to dream for, what was it, for 3 days, and then we get an absolute punch in the gut on Saturday against Motherwell, and that's what we're going to get between now and the end of the season. And quite simply, we just have to be better and play every game like it was our last. We did that for a half. We played really well, I thought, for a half, and then that's why we are where we are in the league now. And I'm talking about a half against Kilmarnock, of course. And then, of course, we wake up, or maybe some people were already awake yesterday morning, and Hearts do us a foot. I mean, who would have thought that we would get beat by Motherwell and they would get beat by Hearts? I thought if we'd have beat Motherwell, they would have been under more pressure. But as soon as we got beat by Motherwell, I thought the pressure was going to be off, and they were going to take it to Hearts and do what they need to do. So they beat Motherwell last week, couple of injury time goals, of course, and we smash Hearts, and then Hearts smash them, and Motherwell beat us. Please don't do this, Rangers. Like, please just win the next 9 games, and then we'll be a-okay, and we'll get to move forward and have a bit of a party. Because I guess the main thing you could think about is lamenting the fact that we didn't win the game on Saturday, as a direct result of the result at Tynecastle yesterday. But that's not the way I'm looking at it. The result was already done and dusted almost 24 hours in advance of that. So anyway, let's go on with the game segment. And 2 games, of course, this last week, starting with last Wednesday's 2-1 win at Rugby Park, and against a stuffy and just an annoying Kelly. Tav had a brilliant free kick. Obviously, we were down in the game. Tav was a brilliant free kick, and then a great Tom Lawrence finish as well after a good move, and then Dessers hit the bar as well, which was very unlucky, and it could have just kind of cemented a wee bit more of a stress-free last 10 minutes or so had that one gone in. But it just wasn't a great performance for probably about the first 50 minutes or so, and then Big Phil does what Big Phil does, and made some changes, and that were material, made some changes at half time, and then quite shortly into the second half, and then that gave us a bit of a second half resurgence. But that wasn't, before Super Jack Butland made an absolutely brilliant and superbly crucial save at the start of the second half, and that would have been 2-0. And the way we were playing, it didn't feel like we were going to have anything in the tank of the reserves to be able to come back from 2-0 down, and it'd probably been game over. But we plugged away, and then we got 2 goals in 4 minutes. And then we weren't really in too much danger after that, and then once you watch it back, if you watch back even just the highlights, there was nothing too much from Kelly. After that, it was a horrible pitch, we all know about that. It was horrible conditions, it was a horrible first half, or certainly first 50 minutes or so, against a horrible team with a horrible manager. So we did what we had to do to maintain our lead at the top of the table, and navigate what we thought was going to be the hardest or one of the hardest tests that we've had in a wee while. Obviously that didn't turn out to be the case on the weekend. The positives was the result, the spell of play from Tav's free kick, and for about 15-20 minutes afterwards, I thought was superb, and our game management after we got the lead was excellent. Jack Butland's save, as I mentioned, was absolutely crucial in the title race, as well as it might turn out to be. Tav's free kick was absolutely sensational. I thought initially the goalie had made a wee bit of a mess of it, but when you see it afterwards, he was lucky to get a hand to it, quite honestly. and Tom Lawrence's sweeping winner, it was just one of those momentum things, very, very exciting. It was a proper, gritty, true, roll up your sleeves and get stuck in performance, and well done to the entire squad for doing that. The negatives, I think Philippe Clement, and this, I don't know that I've actually said this at all out loud, not even to a microphone, but I think Philippe Clement got his selection wrong in the first half. And credit to him for making the two changes at half time that he did, and then another one around about the 55th minute or so. And it's not very often we say that he got it wrong, but it felt like he got it wrong. And we were saying like a big halftime talk was required, and I think that's exactly what he delivered when it was needed. There wasn't a lot of, what would you say, 7 or 8 out of 10 performances. But we were playing a team that had beat us 5 times out of the past 8 at their stadium. So it took a lot of effort. Let's just say that to get the victory. On the stats, we had 56% possession, 12 shots on goal, 5 on target. They had 8 shots on goal, 3 on target. So that feels kind of just about right in terms of the overall score. On the referee watch, I have to assume that David Dickinson was in the pub all day prior to the game, because he was as random as a drunk guy for the entire game. You look at someone, you've got people. Everybody's got people in their life like that, haven't you? You look at them and they look sober, like they look like they're just regularly regular, I guess you could say. Like they're not drunk, and then they do something or they say something, and then you realise, oh, he's blitzed. He's 2 sheets to the wind. That's kind of what he was like for the entire game. I've got no real qualms about their penalty against us, although it's one of those ones, like, what is he supposed to do to get out of the way? I mean, his arm wasn't in an unnatural position, but the way the ball strikes his arm swings out, and then it looks like it is, and then the penalty is given. So you're kind of like, I don't know, but the decision making, and in particular, the 2 penalty calls for us that were just absolutely blatant handballs. You could see it the first time, and then you could see it on replay, and he didn't call them, and then VAR decided that he didn't need to go over and look. It's just beyond belief. So I mean, he's getting the main stick of it because he's the guy in the middle, but VAR didn't do him any favours or anything like that. So because of those reasons and him being blitzed on the job, which is a wee bit unprofessional, to be honest, he's going to get a 4 out of 10, and I think that's kind of generous, and mostly because we won the game, and he has to do better than that. Our second game was Saturday's 2-1 home defeat at Motherwell, which just came out of the blue, didn't it? I didn't expect that after the week and the momentum we were building, the week we had and the momentum we were building, and I learned after the game that was their first win at Ibrox since 1997. So that's a long time. I thought it was just an awful performance overall. And the stats, which I'll get to in a wee second here, are going to say something slightly different, but we were just off from the first to the last minute. I thought Motherwell were up for it. They had a good game plan. They executed it very well, and it didn't seem like we did, and it was just uninspiring performance the whole time. Yes, there was clears off the line and good saves, and it just didn't feel like it was going our way. I think it was actually in the second minute or so, and I'd said to someone, I don't think we've been out our half. It was getting towards the end of the second minute, and I know that maybe doesn't, in the grand scheme of a 90-minute game, seem like such a big thing, but we're at home. And this is a 9th place team, or whatever the position they're at now. They might have changed after the weekend's result. But this is not a great team. We should be doing to them what we did to Hearts the week before. And we just didn't. The positives, I don't really know that you can take. The positives from this game, to be really honest, I'd said to a few of the lads on a couple of different group texts that I'm part of afterwards that you need to earn the right. You need to earn the right to win games. And we didn't on Saturday, not even close, quite honestly. And of all the games that we faced since the winter break, if someone would have said that Motherwell at home would have been our first defeat, I would have thought that, back to David Dickinson, I would have thought you were drunk, to be perfectly frank with you. It wasn't good enough at all, as I say, from beginning to end, nowhere even near good enough. Negatives, kind of almost everything, wasn't it? Our performance, our energy, we were lethargic throughout the game after 2 fantastic results and really gritty performances in the previous 2 games, we fall to defeat against Motherwell at Ibrox. That's a wee bit embarrassing, to be perfectly honest. And Connor Goldson, see, and I think I've said that, I haven't said it for a long time, but I remember back in the day, it might even have been Stevie G's days, that what's the point of Connor Goldson going up for a set piece if he's never going to hit the target? And this was back to the Goldson of old. I actually thought our central defensive pairing on Saturday had a nightmare. I thought that was the worst game they've played the entire season. They were just all over the place. I have no idea what they were doing. But Goldson, see, if you're not actually going to hit the target, why don't you just stay behind and defend? Why don't you just stay out the way and let someone else go up there and maybe get something? He just had one of those days, didn't he? I mean, I love Connor Goldson, of course, but it was just that he wasn't helping. He wasn't helping at all in attack. And it looked like a cross between Giovanni Van Bronckhorst and a Michael Beale team, where we were just punting balls into the box. I mean, they've got one of the biggest defences, it looks like, anyway, certainly against our attackers. And we just pumped ball after ball after ball after ball in high balls. I mean, and we just didn't get any change at all. In fact, when we actually put the ball on the deck was when we ended up getting the penalty and then getting ourselves back into the game as we thought. But we didn't really get going until kind of later in the second half. So somewhat similar to the Kelly game, but we obviously didn't manage to turn this one around. On the stats, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to tell a wee bit of a different story. We had 70% possession, 20 shots on goal, 11 on target, versus they had 10 shots on goal and 5 on target. So that maybe that second part, or the last part there of the stats, probably tells a bit of a story. There's not very many teams come to Ibrox and have 10 shots, 5 on target, and that's kind of testimony to who and who they are, what they did, and how they played. So I guess fair play to them. On the referee watch, I'm going to sound like Mr. Casual sexist from the East End, but I genuinely don't like talking about refs. But I've always put the referee, or when I started putting the referee watch in, it was just to say credit where it's due, improvement required when it's required. And this week, I didn't think I was going to have to do this twice in a week, because Alan Muir had an absolute nightmare game. He had a disgusting game, to be perfectly honest with you. He set the tone very early by calling literally nothing. He allowed Ross McCausland's tackle and the injury to go unpunished. He didn't even call a foul. VAR looks at it, they don't think it's anything. He goes on, he leaves the stadium in crutches, and then of course the guy that does that is the guy that scores the winner, who should have been red carded. Unbelievable. It took probably about 35 minutes to actually call the penalty, and generally just got our penalty and got pretty much everything, all the big calls wrong. Fair play for eventually calling the penalty to save himself from a 1 out of 10. But he's a bad referee who had a bad game, so that compounds the badness to get what we got. I honestly don't know how these referees train, or how they would train, or how they're trained even, and how they're informed. But my goodness, like whatever it is they're doing, it just isn't working. It's not working. It's not just our games, by the way. You're seeing complaints from games up and down the Premiership in Scotland. And I don't want to use him as an excuse for our performance and lack of quality across the team. We had more than enough quality in the team to win that game. We had more than enough chances, more than enough possession. So it's not the referee's fault, but his performance had an impact on the safety of our players, and possibly the concentration of our players. Because you know what it's like when you start to get a wee bit annoyed on the pitch at the referee, and then you're almost manipulated out of your game, mentally, and you're not concentrating on what you should actually be doing, and it's just not good enough. It's not good enough for these high profile games. So not a good week at all for referees, and they need to be much better. He is getting a 2 out of 10 for this particular referee watch, and that's feeling generous, by the way. So a 4 out of 10 and a 2 out of 10 for the 2 games this past week. My word, that's awful, just absolutely awful. Anyway, on to this week. We have 2 games this week in the Europa League and the Scottish Cup. And now, this week, Actually, I'll get to that when we get to the Hibs game. I don't want to get things confused. But the first game, of course, is the last 16 in the Europa League tie against Benfica away, and that's on Thursday, the 7th of March, and it's a 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time kick-off. I was almost going to say 4 there and make a mess of it already, but 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time kick-off. That's 8 p.m. in the UK. And as I say, it's the last 16. They were joint top of the league until the weekend there, and they got absolutely spanked, didn't they, by Porto yesterday, 5-0. And apparently they got an injury as well, and things are a wee bit, don't seem to be going quite so well over there. I think the fans have reacted quite badly to that, probably just desperate for them to do well. So we'll see what happens on Thursday. Great to be involved in Europe after Christmas, of course, and this is a glamour tie for us. And as I've said, I think for any knockout game in Europe over the last few years, we just want to give ourselves an opportunity to be still in the match and give ourselves a chance to progress when we bring it back to Ibrox the following week. Now here we go. For Sunday's game in the Scottish Cup against Hibs at Easter Road, this is where the clocks change. And the clocks change in North America. We change a few weeks early. In the springtime here, the clocks will go forward. So whereas I'm normally 7 hours behind the UK, I will be 6 hours behind the UK for 3 weeks because the clocks don't go back till the end of the month in the UK. So this is where I think I'm going to try and get it right. I hope I get it right. The game is going to be on Sunday the 10th of March, of course, and it's a 5:30 p.m. kick-off, which means it should be 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Daylight savings time starts in North America on Sunday. Our game kicks off after that. It would normally have been 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I believe it's 1:30 p.m. I look forward to being corrected if I've got that wrong, but I hopefully do not have that one wrong. This is a tough tie and one that will need to be on top of our game to win through. You know, Hibs have a go at us and we tend to score some goals against them. The Cup is just a wee bit of a different beast, and you never know what's going to happen there. So we'll just hopefully show up. If the Kilmarnock or Motherwell versions of Rangers show up, we're going to be in for a long afternoon, I'll tell you that. But hopefully we've seen enough and we get enough out of the game on Thursday to kind of just get ourselves back on track, kind of reset and see where we go from there. Some crucial games, and then I believe the next game week we have, of course, the second tie against Benfica. Then we have a league game, and then we have an international break. So, I mean, 4 victories would be great. A draw, maybe in Lisbon, and a victory at Ibrox, something like that. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to do all this predictor stuff because it can all go completely sideways very quickly. From an RTV front, I think we were okay. I think there were some login challenges out in London, and I think probably the best thing for most people is just every now and again just make sure that you're logging out, logging back in, you're clearing your cache on your laptop or whatever device it is you're using, and just to make sure that everything's all nice and clean and clear, because the service is perfect in Calgary and other people have got this spinning wheel of death and all that sort of thing on the screen. So maybe just a wee bit of housekeeping on that, and just this is probably the best place to put it, is we have sent out some emails for clubs who opted to pay in 2 instalments for the season's RTV fees, and I think to my recollection we haven't had one reply of anyone saying, got your email, this is what our plan is, this is when you can expect it. I know people are busy and we're getting ourselves into the business end of the season, but please don't forget about the admin. We committed a payment structure to RTV and we want to honour that payment structure. So if you could please look out those emails and reply, let us know what your thoughts are, what your plans are, what your circumstance and situation is, and then we'll be able to have some active ongoing dialogue from there. So please go take a peek at the emails, either be from Sandra Hawthorne or Alec Grant, depending on how things went. But please let's get an idea of what's going to be happening with the second payment, and then we'll take it from there. Shout outs, a couple of birthdays from a shout out perspective, and then a wee bit of a poignant family thing for me. The first one is happy belated birthday to NARSA's very own Billy Ferguson, who was 60 on Saturday past there and managed to go to Ibrox and enjoy the game in the director's box there, and of course was an absolute jinx to our performance and the result, of course. Way to go, Billy. Thanks very much for nothing. But happy birthday. What a great way to spend your day getting an opportunity to go in and have that experience there. So yeah, happy birthday. And it's just a Billy birthday fest. A very happy 70th birthday today, actually, to Billy Fatkin Senior, or Billy Fatkin, I think, as he goes, and Billy Fatkin Junior is Junior. So, but Billy Fatkin Senior is 70 today, and he was. My understanding is he was also at Ibrox on Saturday as well with Junior. So 3 Billies there. And we still got beat. You know, I mean, think about that. I don't know that that's a fluke. I don't know that that's a coincidence. I think you should have a long, hard think about yourselves, guys, to be perfectly honest. But I don't want to take away from the many happy returns that I'm giving you here. And I hope you had a brilliant trip, and I hope you have a fantastic birthday, Billy, and get nice and spoiled by the family today. I also, from a family perspective, I wanted to say a massive congratulations and thank you to my very own brother-in-law and former NARSA social media guru, Andy Carey, who celebrated the 10-year anniversary of his stem cell transplant 10 years ago. I recall that day literally like it was yesterday, and I don't mean that in a cliche way. It's just so vivid. I was fortunate to be there in the room as they were doing it, and it was a fascinating process and kind of weird and funny smell and all that sort of thing. But 10 years ago, so we luckily had an opportunity to go and have a lovely family dinner at the Keg yesterday, and just get a chance to toast Andy and his ongoing health and successful recovery from that, and long may that continue. So congratulations and well done to Andy. And from a final part on the shout-outs this week, NARSA's events manager, Andy Burnett, messaged me again to say that they have another event going on. He's just on fire right now. Good for you, Andy. And they're having a cultural night in the Gatherings Resto Bar, which is 49 St Clair Avenue West in Toronto, of course. And the cultural night is going to feature the pride of the Birchies accordion band, who are from Portadown, Northern Ireland. And that's going to be on the 19th of July at 7 p.m. Now, there's no cover charge for this, but space is going to be limited on that. So what I would recommend you do is email TMRSC, that's Toronto Midtown RSC, TMRSC 1998 at outlook.com to reserve your spot, and they will put a reservation spot on a table for you to get in there. So I'll keep this on the radar between now and July for a wee bit of a shout out, and it wouldn't do you any harm just to reserve your table just now, so that you know that you have that organised if you're going to be in and around the Toronto area at that time. I love it. From a convention update, we have been in negotiations with our kind of key hotel for last week. I was actually expecting information back from the hotel in the form of an actual draft contract on Friday, and the reason I was expecting that was that the lassie said to expect that but it never arrived. If it's arrived at this morning, right now it's 10:25 a.m. I'm recording this, so it might have already arrived. I checked my email not long before I started recording. It wasn't there yet, but I don't think it's no news is bad news or anything. It's just probably some admin at their side, but we might be in a position to be looking to get an opportunity to agree and sign and communicate and really get on with the planning, and we're hoping to do that as quickly as we can here, so that's great. And on the ORSA convention front, it looks like it went very, very well, and on all fronts, you know, from a guest perspective, from the organising committee perspective, and from the VIPs and 5-star support perspective as well. So good for them for doing that. I actually got added to the Sunshine Coast RSC Facebook group yesterday, so looking through some of the photographs last night, and it looked like an absolute ball. And there's one video, if you've got a chance to see it, there's a guy playing the mouth organ, and he's playing, what was it, with Heart in Hand, and No Surrender. Right, I was trying to figure out what the song was there, and he was doing that. And then just as he finished, he kind of gets a wee cheer. He was doing it into a microphone, and then this guy just takes a header right behind him, you know, just, and the video cut off and stuff, and there was a bit of dialogue on the post there asking if he was okay, and the guy says, yeah, I'm okay, that wasn't my first or only tumble of the weekend. So it does sound like it went very well. So congratulations to everybody from ORSA and to Billy Brownlee and his team at Sunshine Coast Rangers Supporters Club. They did a great job, and it looks like, as I say, everyone had a fun time. On the communications front this week, the Gers guide was just published, which is why I'm recording a wee bit later. Today there's going to be a loan review on the site and highlights from yesterday's women's 3-0 victory at Hibs. Not so much anything happened Tuesday. Wednesday's the press conference for the Benfica game. Thursday's the Benfica game. Friday is the press conference for the Hibs game. So a couple of days in advance. Not a whole lot going on Saturday. Then, of course, Sunday we have the big one against Hibs in the Scottish Cup. And funnily enough, the Rangers women are also playing Hibs women in the Scottish Cup quarter final at Meadowbank Stadium. And that's a noon UK kickoff time. So what's that? 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, something like that. So both are playing Hibs in the cup on the same day. So that's kind of fun. Also, I'm going to just mention here again that Rangers do have their first ever International Coaches Convention from the 27th to the 31st of this month. And they are going to be, I'll just leave the blurb, the little YouTube clip there. It is a 5-day event. They are going to be launching a 3-day package and individual packages. I should actually do a bit of research on that between now and next week just to double check if they've actually came out. I haven't heard and I haven't checked, to be honest. But if you're an aspiring coach and you want to see what it's all about, you can get yourself over there. And that's just under £500 per person. And that will be money very well spent for your coaching career, I'm sure. And I just did want to ask from the communications front, we sent out the NARSA Newsletter last week, and I just wanted to know what you thought. Did you get a chance to read it? Did you forward it to your membership like we asked you to do? If you get any feedback whatsoever, if you get any content or suggestions that you'd like to see in that, don't be put off at all by the spacing or the space or the format or the layout. We can be very flexible as to what we have. I'd love to do like a club focus or club feature or something like that, and just go around the clubs that we have, the active clubs within NARSA, and just give a wee bit of an overview, who you are, where you are, how long you've been going, and things like that. So any feedback at all would be most welcome. So please do reach out to myself or Lorraine. You have our contact details by now from the email, of course. So, but yeah, please do let us know, and we'll be posting information there each week. I need to talk to Lorraine about what our cadence is that for delivery, but at least every couple of weeks or something, we'll see how it goes. And just one last wee shout out. I did reach out to Lynn on the David Holmes book, One Voice, and we've got a wee bit of a rough plan of when I can get him on an interview and stuff. I just need to take a peek at the book first so that I can actually do the interview from a bit of an educated perspective rather than saying, talk me through the book that I haven't read yet, Mr. Holmes. So we'll get that organised sometime over the next wee while. Okay, folks, that will do it for this week. My friends, as always, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you very, very much for taking the time to listen. Please do share it with whomever you think might enjoy it. We're going to be having some real active content coming up here over the next wee while, especially when we get closer to and just after the signing of the contract for NARSA 2025 and such. So, it's good to be able to spread the word on that. Let's just see what this week brings, I think. If we play against Benfica and Hibs like we did against Motherwell and Kilmarnock, it's going to be a stressful week. It's going to be difficult. We need to prove that certainly the Motherwell result was just an anomaly, and we'll get back on track. And Philippe Clement said as much. I can learn just as much, if not more, from this than I can sometimes from some of the victories. It'll be interesting to see who stands up and is counted. So hopefully it's us, and hopefully we have two very positive results to be talking about this time next week. So until then, please do take care of yourself and all the very best. Okay, cheerio now.